We're just about to start another ciabatta. We've got our old ciabatta sitting there, still getting through that. We've only got about a third left, so we're going to start the process of our next one already. We're still getting a few people asking about the starter and how to get a really powerful starter. So when I make a starter, I will take a big jar and I'll add maybe 50 grams of flour, 50 grams of water, day by day for about 5 days, and then that will all start bubbling. And once that starts bubbling, I'll take about 75 grams of that bubbling mix into a new pot, put it into the new pot with 75 grams of flour and 75 mils of water, or 70 mils of water, but just not more water than flour. And then if you leave that for between 4 and 12 hours, you should see that rises, and that really starts to look like something which is rising, which will have that effect in your bread. If it doesn't rise too much, then repeat that process again. Take another 75 grams of that into a new pot with 75 grams of fresh flour and 75 milliliters of water. And by that point, that should really be like visually rising in your jar. And once you get to that point where you've got this visually rising, powerful kind of starter, you just keep that. And each time you use it, you'll take sort of maybe 100 grams out, and you'll be left with, like maybe 100 grams or 75 grams in the pot, or 50 grams. Just as long as you've got like a reasonable sort of amount in the bottom of your jar. And just keep that in the fridge. By keeping it in the fridge, you'll stop it from over fermenting and turning bad. And then each time you use it, you're just going to take it out and you have an elastic band so you can see your level. It's going to add, this is just a plain flour. The best flours are flours with vitamins for the bacteria. So if you've got whole grain flours or spelt or rye or things that have got like a lot of vitamins, that's really going to help your starter to get going. Once it is going, you can kind of just like top it up, and it will still come to life. But once you've got a really powerful starter, it's much easier to keep it powerful than the phase of building it. But once you build it, use nice whole grain flours, get it to a point where it's really active, and then just keep it in the fridge. And each time you use it, take most of it out. Keep the leftovers in the fridge, and then come along and just add more flour in. So I've got 72 grams of flour in there, so I'm just going to go in with up to 135, 137, okay, something like that. Just take a little chopstick or whatever, and just give that a stir. And once that's combined, it's for a ciabatta, so we're going to go like with a white flour. I'm just using a T45 plain flour, because that's all that we have available in the supermarkets at the moment. I know a lot of people are having the same problem. I had someone message today asking about if they could use 00 flour. Like, yeah, go ahead, 00 Italian flour. It's like great for pastas and pizzas, and it will make really nice breads as well. And then, so if you just clean the jar to the point where you sort of clean the sides a bit, so you can kind of see where the level of you can kind of see that. I've cleaned it down to where the level of the top of the starter I've got in there at the moment is. And then just pull your elastic band up so it marks the bottom of where you are at the moment. So that's just where the flour is as it's gone in. And just leave that alone for 4 to 12 hours, as long as it takes. You want to see some growth. And if after say 12 hours it hasn't grown very much, then repeat that process. Take 75 grams of this to a new pot, do it again, and then you really should have a really active starter that at least doubles in size, ready for your next bread. And also, it might be a good idea, because this pot's got about room to double. If I'm leaving it for overnight, say, I'll put it in a dish, so that if it does come out, and it quite often does, it'll bubble over and it'll spill out and it'll release catch in a plate, and then the next morning, if you use an even taller jar, you can avoid that. But this tends to be alright for what I do, because I watch it, and by the time it's at the top of the jar, that for me is kind of ready, and then I'll use that to bake.